I genuinely don't really want to do this review. I have not been this disappointed since Warner Brothers decided to throw the DCU under the bus in favor of chasing the Marvel Cinematic Universe. 5 years of development with one of the, if not the largest entertainment franchises currently in any form of media. Hundreds of millions of funding and back and gone, reduced to atoms. And this looter shooter bullshit is the end result. Here's some of the story. This is easily the best part of the game. Here the homework was done. There's interesting and relatable characters, villains throughout, as well as some fantastic set-piece moments become standard for Square Enix over the last 10 years. Used here till full effect. Unfortunately, many of the game's shortcomings also seep into this mode. Every moment of heart and edge, then your seat suspension waits several eye-roll frustration moments from main story level, placing what can only be described as capture the flag segments, moving from spot to spot, stopping the enemies from taking over, to domination style, defend the glowing square, preventing the enemies from taking it from you. So the rewards being dumbed down to having to explore every nook and cranny of a level to unlock a finish animation or a new character skin, instead of just having these prerequisites for finishing a mission, like a standard single-player game. Some of these gameplay choices are truly baffling. My guess is that since it was announced in 2017, at the height of Battlefield 2, Shadow of War, story-driven games with microtransactions, and then also Destiny and Division, leading in front of the sales of loot shoot story games, before all the flack, one of these, before they got shit on, they had it too deeply infused to the game that by the time they were done, they couldn't really reverse what was there. And the shareholders were saying, hey, you got to put this out, so the end result is the game that exists today. The obvious elephant in the room is the non-movie characters, and instead we have some weird hybrid of them, new creations. Some of it works, most of it doesn't, but it just don't seem to get it right. MCU characters aren't here. You can customize each of these characters with customization pickups that change the stats, but don't physically adapt to their appearances, because Disney has such a tight grip on character likeness. But again, if you're going to do this, why not just put the cinematic universe characters in the first place? All in all, there's some solid writing, characterization done here, which is gives some of the origin stories of Miss Marvel, MODOK, as well as provides a decent redemption tale for the Avengers. When it works, it's firing all cylinders. However, its infusion of multiplayer and loot shoot components, as well as the length, finishes in about 5 hours, may turn lots of people off. If the rating was for the game alone, I'd probably give it about a 7 out of 10. Now, some gameplay. As with everything else in this game, it's all serviceable. You neither lose or gain anything while playing this. Some of the input just isn't there fully. It just works. There needs to be a few patches of the future for all characters feel like you're playing as. For example, when playing as the Hulk, I do a launch jump from spot to spot and visit my head. Okay, it's the Hulk. It's going to be leaping about 60 to 100 feet instead of the 20 feet you're given in game. There's no upgrades to this. It's just, that's what you're given. Same thing playing as Thor. I have a charge hammer spin. I'm spinning it around. I throw it at an enemy, and it bounces off and lands on the floor. It's supposed to be the almighty Thor. There's just not much fluidity in the combat itself. There's combos, blocks, dodges, parries, but it just doesn't work. It's not very snappy. You get interrupted frequently. You can't cancel out in the middle of combos, which I get from a balancing standpoint, but it really makes you feel less and less super, which is the point of the game. At the end of the day, it's serviceable enough, but as someone who plays fighting games frequently, I expected a lot more. Graphics. In terms of visuals for this game, neither disappoints nor delivers. You can get it to run at some kind of fake 4K render. Frame rate's pretty bad, especially during large-scale battles, which are fairly frequent in this game. Environments are well done on a technical level, however, the sense of scale, predictability, lighting shows is all fine, has no issues. But the level design is pretty terrible. I mean, drab, boring corridors, metallic arenas, large mountains, canyons, forests, industry facilities, any generic superhero setting you can think of from a movie tie-in superhero game from 2006. It's all here. And they could have gone to great lengths to go beyond and beyond this, but they did not for whatever reason. Character models are probably the best this game has to offer with a graphic standpoint. Unfortunately, this is only when you aren't phasing through the floor or having Captain America's teeth suspended outside of his head during a cutscene, or infinite falling through the internals of a wall or mountain when you're flying around. It's just just disappointing. Now the sound. Like with the graphics, there's nothing particularly amazing here. Because of the numerous glitches and bugs in the game, it greatly takes away from what might have been. Sound cuts in and out. It's poorly mixed in certain areas. Sounds of explosions or dying enemies drowning out important story dialogue, or just vanishing entirely and becoming mute. It's inexcusable shit, but it's all here. Characters are finicky as well in terms of voice performance. Troy Baker, for example, does a pretty solid job as Bruce Banner, delivering a reserved and subdued tonal ease that Bruce Banner provides, and it's done fairly well. But Nolan North as Tony Stark, he's not bad himself, but it just comes off as a guy doing a mediocre Robert Downey Jr. impersonation. The orchestral cinematic music that's presented, it's here, but it's pretty forgettable. You're not going to be playing this off your soundtrack playlist anytime soon. The verdict, this one just hurts. You know, I'm a big fan of superheroes. Marvel Cinematic Universe was really weighting this game. It's just a sad day. Because of all the game structures, you know, these shortcomings can be remedied with patches. However, it's still disappointing to see a game like this particular license to drag out through the mud. Like most games released during this console generation, the love and care that was shoved to the side in favor of game as a service of model, unnecessary monetization, and a loot suit structure for a fucking beat 'em up game. It makes no sense, but yet it's here. You can tell this game was a fault of too many hands in the pot. It's like multiple people were like, hey, this is a really good idea, and then they just couldn't decide on something, so they threw it all together, and then this game is the best I could come with. I really took no pleasure in remembering all these things while writing this review, and I take no pleasure in playing it in the endgame since it's so grindy. Square Enix states that they'll have future story updates for all players and will only continue to charge for cosmetics. While this isn't a bad thing, there was really just no reason this was implemented at all. There was really no reason to have any of this in the game, but it's all here. 6 out of 10.